Hi, everyone. Lisa Haven here, and I've got a question for you, and that is this. Why is the United States government stocking up guns, ammunition, gas masks, and even body armor and other military equipment in non-military affiliated government agencies? I'm talking like the Social Security Department and the Smithsonian Institute and even the IRS. Now, I've reported on this in my channel and been talking about it since 2016, even before that in 2014. But the fact of the matter is, it is going ignored by millions of people. And we need to keep this at the forefront because it hasn't stopped. They're continuing to buy these things. And I'm going to prove it to you using not only media sources, but also the government websites and documented evidence for it as well. And then show you how organizations like Daigle, a government contracting group, is basically predicting that over 200 million people in the United States will die by 2025. Yes, that is what Daigle is saying. That's not what Lisa Haven is saying, but let's just dive right into it. All right, so let's start here on an article by the BostonGlobe.com. Now, this is an older one written in 2016, but I'm going to take you backwards and then forwards to show you how long it's been going on. But the FDA is stockpiling military weapons, and it is not alone. Now, the article goes on to show how much the U.S. government is spending on non-military agencies, such as here you see the Department of Veterans, $11 million. The IRS, $10.7 million on what? I mean, what on earth does the IRS need with military grade weaponry? I mean, it's a good question because I understand they have people at the door and stuff, but it is nowhere near the amount that they're requesting. So something tells me that they're stockpiling. Here we have animal and plant inspections, 4.8, Bureau of Public Debt, 2.8. You can see here some of the other administrations, Social Security, $417,000, non-military, by the way. Smithsonian's even got some of that, and you can see some of the others here. But what exactly are they stockpiling? Well, according to this article, it's pistols, shotguns, semi-automatic rifles, ample supplies of ammunition, liquid explosive, gun scopes, and suppressors. It also has night vision goggles, gas cannons, armored vests, drones, and surveillance equipment. That's some pretty hefty duty items. Now, here's another article on Forbes, a little bit more current from 2017. You can see it's still happening. Why are federal bureaucrats buying guns and ammo? 158 million spent on non-military agencies. And it goes on to give some examples. You can see 2,300 special agents at the IRS are allowed to carry AR-15 tactical rifles, heavy weaponry. The IRS is armed with 1.2 million in new ammunition and 11 million for guns, ammo, and military equipment. That's again between those years, and it kept going beyond that. The Small Business Administration, tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars went to gun locker with Glocks. Fish and Wildlife Service modified their Glocks with silencers. Now they've got that. The Department of Veteran Affairs, it says today they have 3,700 officers armed with millions of dollars of guns and ammunition, Sig Sauer, semi-automatic pistols. Same with DHS. It gives a little breakdown there. Let's go on to the most current article, again by Forbes, because they keep bringing attention to this. Why have President Trump's regulatory agencies stockpiled so much firepower? Now, Forbes has been talking about this. Literally, I found articles going back to 2013. It's happening under Obama and even before Obama that they were stockpiling. It massively increased under Obama and it hasn't stopped. And now, because Forbes don't like the president, they blame it on the president and hand. So I found that interesting. But here's another article talking about some of that stockpiling. And here is a report on the Washington Times saying what specifically the EPA and the FDA are stockpiling on, and that is body armor. And it was under, you guessed it, former President Obama's watch there. But some of the things that were spent under his watch, to give you an example, $2 million spent by the Department of Veteran Affairs on riot helmets, defender shields, body armor, okay, cannon system, armored mobile shields, blankets, and tactical gear and equipment for crowd control, Food and Drug Administration, ballistic vests and carriers. Here we have body armor spent by the EPA. The EPA, just kind of curious. And $28,000 goes to the Smithsonian for Zoo Police Force. Here is one of the most current articles up to 2019. This is March 29th by Zero Hedge. Now we have gas masks in bulk. DOD orders 250 million of gas masks. Where are we getting this information? Well, let me show you the actual report here. Now, this is called Open Books. Now, this one goes from 2016 to 2014, again, taking you back, but showing you forward that they're still doing it. But the militarization of America, non-military federal agencies purchasing gun, ammo, and military-style grade equipment. This organization believes that the government should be open with America. And so they published this report to prove that the government hasn't stopped stocking domestically in multiple agencies. Let me flip on over to page 9. Let me go up a page 8 here. And you can see here is what they are spending each year. You can see 2006, all the way we've been increasing every year, right through 2013, 2014. And keep in mind the numbers here. I don't have those on this particular report, but they continue to rise and decline. But here we have 2013, they spent $211 some odd million on federal agencies outside of the Department of Defense. You have guns, ammo, and military style equipment. Now, where specifically did those go? Well, here's all the agencies. Obviously, we need those at ICE. We need those in federal, like the Coast Guard and the prison systems. I get it. But now I have a problem when all of a sudden they're giving it to the IRS and spending $10 million on the IRS. That's insane. Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, $4 million. We have environmental, the EPA, $3 million. I mean, come on. And then we have United States Mint, almost $1 million. National Oceanic and Atmosphere Administration, $1 million. Let's go down a little further here. You see FEMA in there. FEMA, we spent less on FEMA than we did with the IRS and the EPA. What on earth, again, is going on? Do they know something that we don't? Why is it that this is going ignored by millions of mainstream media outlets and it's not being talked about? It needs to be talked about continually. But you can see Department of Education, the Social Security Office, $417,000. Social Security. Urban Development, they've got money. A Small Business Administration, Railroad Retirement, and the Smithsonian Institute. Those are some of the numbers. Now let's go straight to a government website. Here we have the Government Accountability Office. Now this is a report to congressional for request on what exactly the government is buying. This is federal law enforcement purchases and inventory controls of firearms, ammunition, and tactical equipment. If you scroll down here to page 75, you see the IRS, okay? And you also see what they're spending stuff on. Let me show you here. It goes through 2017. They're still spending good chunks of money all the way through. But you can see as of 2017, they bought 5 million, almost, when you add all these together, rounds of ammunition. We're talking 2017 here, even more current. And this hasn't stopped. I mean, there's all kinds of departments. You can hear the U.S. Treasury Inspector General, the U.S. Mint. Here we have Enforcement and Compliance Insurance. All of these are buying up some kind of ammo here, and they give numbers and statistics, and it goes on through 2018 and beyond. But here's the thing. It's not only ammunition, guns, and military equipment that the government is stocking. It's also seeds and food. I've got a lot of friends. My Patriot Supply, preparewithlisa.com. If you don't have food storage, trust me, you want to have that on hand so you don't have to wait in food rationing lines. That's why I use My Patriot Supply and Prepare with Lisa. But look, the government is preparing with food. I've talked to them. I've talked to other people, and they all admit that the government government is their biggest spender when it comes to food supply. They are buying up a lot. But not only are they buying up food, they're also buying seeds. You could see here an article by agprofessional.com. The U.S. government has 20 seed banks all across the country. In fact, the U.S. Department of Agriculture even donates to one of the biggest global seed banks. You could see here the Svalbard Global Seed Bank Vault. In Norway, the United States also contributes a great deal because they want to keep our seeds pure, if you will, because there's so much GMO in mixing. Another reason why I say also get some kind of seed vault. I have one. But another way in which the government is preparing is obviously, and I've talked about this before, bunkers. Here we have 10 secret United States government bunkers. We have Presidential Emergency Operations Centers, Project Greek Island, Raven Rock, another Cheyenne Mountain Complex, Mount Weather, and multiple others. But it goes to show that they're protecting themselves when they're preparing for something, be it a rainy day, be it a disaster, be it a civil uprising, be it food shortages. Speaking of food shortages, let me show you this site, which I've brought up before. This is foodchainreaction.org. If you guys aren't familiar with this, about a year or so ago, they did a simulation basically for FEMA. It's like a contractor of FEMA because they wanted to find out what would happen if, well, the food supply dwindled down and, there was a food crisis. I'll show you the about page. Here it says, Food Chain Reaction, a global food security game, basically a simulation and role-playing exercise intended to improve understanding of how government, institution, and private sector interests might interact to address a crisis on global food system. So this group wanted to simulate what would happen if we had a global food crisis. Again, preparewithlisa.com. They've got amazing specials. I believe it's up to 45% off. They're still holding good on that. But you can check it out there. But again, here's a report a while back from InfoWars. Globalists intend to use food as key weapon in world takeover. Social unrest will occur when food shortages begin, providing excuse for martial law. Now, again, I want to bring attention to this and bring it current. I know some of it is old, but we cannot forget this information. It's absolutely important. And where are they getting this food as a weapon idea? Well, that comes from a document published under 1974. It's called the Kissinger Report, NSSM 200 Implications of World Population Growth. Now, this was in the Nixon years of presidency. And I'm going to scroll down all the way to page 83 so you can look it up for yourself. This is a government report and document. And here they ask, basically, can they use food as a weapon? It says, on what basis should food resources then be provided? Would food be considered an instrument of national power, as in food issued and used as a weapon? Will we be forced to make choices as to who we can assist? If so, should population efforts be a criteria for such assistance? It goes on, is the U.S. prepared to accept food rationing to help people who can't or won't control their population growth? Yes, you heard me right, food rationing. And should the U.S. seek to change its own food consumption patterns? Are mandatory population control measures appropriate? Now, this was basically done, again, by Kissinger under the Nixon years because they were worried about the lie of population growth. But finally, what I want to show you is this Daigle report here. I've brought this up on my channel lots of times, but this is, again, a government contract organization. They do military work for the government. But in 2017, we had about 327 million persons, and they're predicting in 2025, you can see that here this year, that we're only going to have 100 million people. Right now, we aren't too far away from that year, 2019. Now we're talking 6 years. So where did 200 some odd million people disappear to? Good question. The bottom line here is non-military organizations are stocking up military-grade weapons. I'm talking gas mask, ammo, guns, body armor, vests, these kinds of things. And the question has to be asked, why are we spending $10-some-odd million with the IRS and the Social Security Administration on things that really they're not going to use? Unless they're stocking up for some kind of domestic disaster or stocking up for some kind of, civil war here in America. What do they need that equipment for? And the question hasn't been asked in a while. And we can't just stop with 2019 asking the question now that President Trump is president, because the fact is it's still happening. And we're still spending massive amounts of money on this, money that we don't have. But why are we getting militarized at the Social Security office? I can think of a few things based off of other documents, like the internment and resettlement document that talks about building FEMA camp for a dislocated citizen. Not the FEMA camp back in Hitler years, but like a prison full with guard towers and double barbed wire fencing. I could also think of civil labor document, which entertains the idea of using citizens as well a labor force. Some of these were published under Obama. They weren't published under Trump. But there's a lot of pieces that we have to consider. And then we're going to do food crisis simulations. Why do we do those things? Well, look at what happened with the economic crisis of 2008 or the Great Depression back in the 1930s. Look, now is the time to prepare. The government even tells you to prepare. And I'm saying this as a regular person, to prepare and be ready. But I'm just throwing it out there to you guys and want to get your thoughts. And then, organizations like Deagle are promoting mass death. It's eerie if you think about it. I get having military grade and really cool equipment for our military, but not agencies like the ones that are receiving military equipment. So are they stockpiling for another reason? Is the Social Security Administration just a cover for something else? Is them sending all that equipment, or are they just putting it aside? Well, I guess ultimately the decision is yours. Anyhow, if you're not prepared, please check out my partner that I've partnered with on purpose at preparewithlisa.com. I brought him up during this report, not because they're my partner, but because I actually do it and believe in it myself. And if you don't get it through them, do it yourself at home. Get some Mylar bags, put in some rice. It lasts for 30 years and seal it up with some oxygen suckers. And if you don't have time for that, go to preparewithlisa.com and check it out. Anyhow, I love you guys. I'd love to get your thoughts, comments, and concerns. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.